Hey guys, it's Caden. Welcome to another episode of Get Prepped Podcast, where we talk with voice actors, nonprofit leaders, and business owners that are going to be in a new game, Get Prepped. This next guest has been through a crazy scheduling day on my end. You might know her from Head of Class, and you might know her as one of People's top 50 most beautiful people of 1990. She is Khrystyne Haje. Thanks for coming on, Kristen.
Hi. It's actually pronounced Khrystyne Haje, but I'm the same person, regardless of whatever you call me. So, hi
All right.
everybody.
Very nice to meet you. My first question for you is, how did you get into voice acting or acting?
Well, I started first as an on-camera actor, and my very very first job was a film strip for Walt Disney. So it was a movie, but it needed voiceover. It was the summer between second and third grade. And I really wanted to be an actress, and I had auditioned for a Disney movie and got it. It was incredibly exciting. We shot 75 days at Disneyland, which, for an 8-year-old is pretty spectacular. I remember us having our own boat on the Jungle Cruise, and I just thought, well, this is the greatest, job in the world. I've got to be an actress. I've got to keep this going. But with a film strip, you have a voiceover, and then they auditioned other people to voice my role. And I had a little brother in the movie, and so I auditioned to play myself, and I got it. And then I was shocked when he wasn't playing himself. But that was my very first experience in a booth doing voiceover work, and it was so fun. Now, my mom did not like having her kid in show business. She felt that I was too young for makeup and call times and just the different things that go along with being a child who's working. So she pulled me out. That was my first and last job as a kid. And then later, when I was a teenager, I got back involved. And at first, it was just on camera stuff. But I had remembered doing that voiceover job when I was 8. And so I went to my commercial agent and I asked them if they represented voiceover actors, and they did. And so then I was able to start doing voiceover with them. But it was a process also, it didn't happen immediately.
Yeah, that's definitely a good story, and it's understandable why your mom wanted to pull you out at that age, because a lot of child stars end up going down through a downward spiral, and well, a lot of them are talented. I personally find the concept of a child star absurd, and a lot of my favorite actors started out as child stars. My next question for you is, what was your favorite role to take on in your acting career?
I've had some really fun opportunities, but if I had to pick a favorite, it would be Simone from Head of the Class. If not just because of the role, but because of the family that I was gifted as a result. So I played Simone Foster on a TV show called Head of the Class. We were on ABC for a little over 5 years, and it was my first series regular role. So I learned so much on that show about uh, doing, we would tape for live audience. So it really felt like we were doing a play every week, so that the same character but a different storyline in a play for an audience. It's just that there was a row of cameras in between us and the audience, but we still got the live feedback. We still rehearsed with the whole cast, just like you do with a play. So much of it was theater, and yet it was television. So we could see it in a couple of weeks, and all the cast would get together. That first year, we would watch the shows together. It was really magical. Tony O'Dell, Kimberly Russell, Dan Frischman, Dan Schneider, Lara Piper, Rain Pryor were Leslie Bega are cast members of the show that I'm still in touch with, some almost on a daily basis. So I still have that family of friends that I was gifted because of that show. The character herself, Simone, was also really fun to play because she was so shy, and we had to come up with reasons why she would speak up or why she'd speak at all. And it was neat to tap into like her deeper truths of why she would make herself known. And it really was about justice or romance, or she was good at speaking for those who had no voice. Um, it was it was a whole magical experience.
It definitely sounds like a magical experience. I watched a little bit of the show, and I totally understand why that was one of your favorites. My next question for you is: what's a funny or challenging on-set or in the booth moment that you've had in your acting career?
Well, on Head of the Class, one of the cast members used to challenge us so to mess up our lines or do alternate lines when the live audience was there. So we would rehearse Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday, we would film portions of the show. Friday morning, we would film the show, go through the whole show without an audience. We'd break for dinner. Then the audience would come in and we would film the show again. This time, like a play from beginning to end, no stopping, no pickups, no changes. And yet we would, you never knew when someone was going to say a completely different name or not name, but line, give a different punchline, pull some type of prank on you. And so those are when the pranks happened. And, or, you would be doing one yourself. And I did not swear. I was not someone who used, off color language, but I think that I was challenged to call someone a bad name in front of the live audience. And it was in a really sweet moment from Simone's character. And I did it. And I felt like I had to, it was a bit of peer pressure. Um, it wasn't a horrible, it wasn't vulgar, but it just was so out of character for me and my character. But I remember getting a huge laugh from the audience, and I was simultaneously, relieved and embarrassed. I won't repeat it, but it was a fun moment. And I did it with Howard Hessman, who was our real star of the show.
That definitely sounds like a fun moment, and I'll have to see if I can watch that episode.
Well, they didn't air it. It was for the audience only. Of course, they only aired the line that was said correctly. But it was like a big break, and the huge audience was laughing, and I made Howard Hessman laugh, and but it pulled us out of character and out of the story. But it was fun in the moment.
It definitely sounds fun. My next question for you is: what is something you've learned in your acting career that you wish you knew when you first started?
I have learned a lot. One of the big differences now is if you start acting now or 5 or 10 years ago, you really have the focus on creating your own content. And when I was coming up in the business, there were a few actor, writer, directors, but they were very few. And it felt so daunting. Of course, technology has come a long way since then, and it's made it easier to create for yourself. But regardless of the ability to actually film yourself and create something, I wish I had realized how important it is to create your career. I always just thought I just had to show up and act, right? Just let wardrobe do their thing and hair and makeup do their thing and the writers do their thing. And as long as I'm on time and know my lines and can bring the character to life, that was all I needed to do, was all I wanted to do. But to really have a career of longevity and one where you really get to experience what you want to in your career, make the kind of things you want to do, whether it's westerns or small, intimate moments or, strong relationship stories or things that champion a cause, whatever it is, you can create that, but you really have to be involved in creating the entirety of your career. There's so much more to a career than knowing your lines and filling the character. And I just did not have a concept of that when I started in the business, and for many years.
I really like that, and I absolutely agree that with any field, you should have multiple things on deck. One actor I really respect for that is River Phoenix. He was an actor mainly, but he was also a musician, and he wrote a couple of lines in his films completely improv, specifically the one scene in My Own Private Idaho where he talks about wanting his own dog and a stable father. That was all improv.
Oh,
So
wow.
I definitely like what she said about content creation being a part of a modern day landscaping of acting, and how a lot of actors are jacks of multiple trades. My last question for you is, if you could take on any voice role, past or present, who would it be and why?
Oh, wow. Well, this is an immediate reaction. I would love to be one of the Looney Tune voices. I think because I grew up with Bugs Bunny and Roadrunner and those cartoons, they were such a relief and a release for me. They were such a joyful moment and something that I looked forward to every week. As a kid, we used to only have cartoons Saturday mornings. And I also learned a lot about classical music watching Bugs Bunny. So I wouldn't ever expect to be the voice of Bugs, but I would love to be a voice on one of the Looney Tunes. I have to go through and see who would be my favorite, but um, there was a Petunia Pig, I believe, was a Looney Tunes character, and there's also Bugs's girlfriend,
Well,
who
Lola?
Lola, yes, but I don't think she said that much. But I would, if I have to look and see if Lola had a voice. I wish it could have been mine.
Lola's definitely an interesting choice. Anyways, that's going to do it for this episode, guys. Thank you so much to Kristen for coming on and sharing her story. If you guys want to see more amazing interviews with those involved in Get Prepped, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the Get Prepped channel. And to learn more about the upcoming game, which will have 11 new voice actors and people involved to be announced at a later date, scan the QR code here. Thank you guys so much for watching,
Thank
and
you, thank
we'll
you.
see you in the next one.